Welcome to the Chamber Neighbors Podcast, a show highlighting Chapin's community and commerce. Now here's your hosts, Greater Chapin Chamber of Commerce President and CEO Paul Sadler, and Chapin Neighbors Magazine's Daniel Rendelman.
This is Daniel with the Chapin Neighbors Magazine.
And I'm Paul Sadler with the Greater Chapin Chamber of Commerce.
And Paul, am I saying double?
Yes, maybe. You may be seeing my twin. And what do they call it? A
Doppelganger?
Doppelganger? Maybe.
Twinsies?
Maybe. Daniel, we've got a treat.
Yes.
Today.
Multiple treats.
Multiple treats. We do. We have Paul LaRosa, a Furlong Consulting with us today in the studio.
In the studio, aka Chamber House.
Yeah,
Same thing.
Same thing.
Paul, welcome.
Well, thank you.
Well, thank you.
Thank you for the invite. Listen, I give you guys a lot of credit. You guys are very courageous having a guy like me on here, knowing a little bit about me without having like a bleep button.
We've got a mute button. Don't you worry. We're not going to bleep you out. This is freedom of speech.
Okay.
We're not going to censor you.
No problem.
So, just
Speak for yourself, Paul.
Well, yeah.
I have the controls.
Daniel is now going to bleep us out.
I can edit it.
Yes,
if needed.
indeed. Well, man, it's so
Well,
good
thank you.
to have you here
Appreciate
today.
you having me.
And we are happy that you're here, and we want our listeners to know a little bit more about you and what you do and some of the fun things that you're involved in here locally in Chapin.
Yeah, so Paul, you have 8 Furlong Consulting. So
That's correct.
Tell us about what is that?
8 Furlong Consulting is basically a business consulting firm, and I work specifically in the with SMBs, so small and medium-sized businesses. When we get to the bigger boys, I always look at that as if you're trying to help an organization, it's like steering an aircraft carrier. It's slow moving. Change does not happen very quickly.
Right.
Whereas if you're dealing with small and medium-sized businesses, you can deal directly with decision makers and truly have an effect.
You can make an impact pretty quickly.
Immediately, yes. Yeah. And that's one of the unique things, as a business consultant, you see a lot of business consultants specializing in, either marketing or accounting, sales. Well, I have a pretty diverse background, so I go over all of it, and I put it into basically one platform of consulting, from the accounting end, the marketing, the sales, the operations, learning how to be efficient, a little bit of leadership and what it is to be a CEO. Even though we're talking about small and medium-sized businesses, where many of them are,
one or two employees,
right? Many of them are just sole proprietors in essence, but they're still a CEO, and what their function is to make decisions and to hold themselves accountable as their own employee. So,
how'd you get involved in this? Like, what made you wake up one day and say, you know what? I'm going to be a business consultant.
Yeah, it kind of happened by accident.
Really?
Yeah.
Those are usually the best stories.
Right?
Yeah. I've had 5 different careers. So, every now and then I have to reinvent myself.
Nothing wrong with that.
So, and it comes from an array of different industries, mostly, small and medium-sized business, some big business. I did work for Pershing, that's now owned by Bank of New York, as an institutional trader with my first job out of college. Had a couple moving franchises.
So you're not from Chapin originally.
Do I sound like I'm from Chapin? So what you have over there sitting next to you is what I call water. Now, if you notice, water. So that has a D. So water, when you come from Jersey, there's no T.
It's all a D.
That's a water.
Water.
That's right.
What about a taco?
A taco?
Still a taco.
Is that still a taco?
Yeah,
A taco? But I hear you.
It depends how many beverages I've had beforehand.
Right.
Gotcha.
Right.
It could be a lot of different things. That's right.
So you were working in the financial...
Yeah, financial services. That's right. I had a couple had a moving business, had 25 trucks on the road, 100 people, movers, managers, salespeople.
So we know who to call when we need to move something.
Yes. Apparently he has a strong back.
Yes.
Yeah, no, I didn't do that myself. Now, obviously, I have done it. Don't like it, right? So then into the car business for quite some time. That one, I didn't own and operate my own business, but was a general manager at several dealerships locally,
Okay.
and left that. Started an insurance, property and casualty insurance firm. Sold that. So it's one of those things. If something doesn't really pique my interest, or if I get a bad taste in my mouth from an industry, I'm out.
You're out.
Yeah, I don't.
You don't stick around.
As I've gotten older, there's a question that bothers me more and more. As every year that I go, what if? And so I've been fortunate enough to kind of whatever you can dream, I think you can do it. So, and if not, die trying.
I like that. It's almost like a mission statement.
Yeah.
What if I stay? What are the repercussions? What if I don't
a
stay?
Disney Channel television series.
What if?
It's called What If.
Is it really?
No kidding. Now, see, I didn't know that, so it's not plagiarism. So, yeah.
I think it sounds like a good mission statement. What if? Like,
What if?
I stay? What if I don't
Yeah.
stay?
So after I sold my insurance agency, I didn't, we have a farm, a horse farm, and I'm into racing, which we can talk about a little bit later. But I was annoying the hell out of my wife, and I had to figure out something to do it myself again.
Right.
So I went on LinkedIn and started getting all these notifications, and people who were in the consulting arena wanted to speak to me just because of my background. And I spoke to a couple of them, and knowing myself, obviously, I knew I could never work for anybody else. So I said, you know what? Somebody's telling me something. I just have to listen. This is kind of where I can make an impact and where there's future. So that was eight Furlong Consulting was born.
Now, where does this name 8 Furlong?
All right. So 8 furlong is 1 mile on a horse racetrack.
Okay.
It's 1 mile.
8 furlong is a measurement.
It is. A furlong is 1/8 of a mile.
Okay.
You learned
So 8 furlong is a mile.
something today on the.
Are horse race tracks always 8 furlong?
No,
Furlongs?
no. Some are, mile and a quarter. Some are,
Okay.
some tracks, smaller tracks, are 3/4 mile tracks.
8 furlong is a mile, and so you mentioned horse racing.
Right. So, basically I put horse racing and business consulting together. Right. So the theory being 8 furlong. I'll take you from start to finish. So from the conception of, or just the thought of an idea that could possibly be, an entity, to dissolution or mergers and acquisitions, and everything in between.
From beginning to
Beginning to end.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Wow.
About that.
that's right. Right. So everything has like kind of a message within it, right?
Now that makes sense to me. And I've
There you
done
go.
golf for a couple of years, and now I understand.
Now you know from listening
Now
to
I
the Chamber
understand.
Neighbors podcast.
And
That's
I
right.
think all of our listeners now understand.
That's right.
8 furlong is a measurement.
Is a
That's
measurement. And is it true that you have a horse farm in Chapin?
I do.
Ooh, talk to us about your.
Yes. Before we get
horse
into the
farm.
business part.
Yeah,
Yeah, who cares about that? But it's another business, right? So it's just another thing I do. I've loved racing since, I could, ever since I started walking when I probably was 5, 6 years old. And my father took me over to the Meadowlands up in Jersey. And, I was a little 5-year-old running around looking for tickets that were discarded on the floor because I was so convinced that I would have somebody discarded a winning ticket. You know what I mean? I was going to be rich, But what captivated me a little bit more was actually just looking at the horses. It was like majestic to me. It was like the awesome size, power, grace.
Yeah.
It's just, I don't know. It just had an impact. So
Wow.
I married
That's cool.
I ended up marrying a horse girl, right? Who worked, exercise rider, been around horses her whole life.
So it just worked.
It kind of
It
just worked. I don't think I could be with somebody who didn't have the passion for it.
Right. Yeah.
And so now your farm, you have, you breed the horses?
We have brood mares that we are now, their foals, we are syndicating. So what a syndication means is that it's horse racing is expensive. So I'll give you an idea. So per horse that you put onto the track, your dead cost on it before, vet bills and, a lot of miscellaneous bills is about $3,500 a month on average
A month.
per horse.
Per horse.
Yeah. So when you add in some of the variables, you're probably looking at $4,000, could be five. So what syndication does is it basically allows fractional ownership. So you can, if you love horse racing, you can kind of be involved in it without bleeding the bank, right? So I sell 10% shares up to 40% of each foal. And so you have access to basically everything that I have access to, right? So you're an owner of a fractional owner of a racehorse.
Hey,
Yeah.
now while we're recording this, it is almost spring, but it's
Yeah.
also foliage season.
No, foaling. And that's FOALING. Foaling. Yeah.
And what is that?
So that means that's when a broodmare, a female horse, delivers a baby.
So when the baby falls.
No, it's not falling. It's foaling.
Foaling.
I know I talk funny, but come on.
When the baby falls to some water.
That's right. It does need water. It needs water.
That's a horse racing. So that's here in Chapin.
In Chapin.
Which is.
I don't think there's anyone else in
Racetrack.
I don't, but I do think about it. And so at some point down the road, that could be something. Now, interestingly enough, and I'm hoping that, one of the reasons we don't have race and why you don't see other people doing it is because we really don't have racing in South Carolina. Then the reason behind that is there's no gambling, right? There is a bill that actually is through the state Senate. It's already passed. It's sitting in the House right now. It does have support. There's probably no reason why it won't pass. But so if you're listening and you have access to your state senator and representative, the impact that horse racing and gambling, the bill is a general sports betting bill. And if passed, their conservative estimates that they say is a $40 million revenue stream. It's a lot more than that. If you use similar states of similar size like Louisiana, is about a $300 million and more economic impact.
That's a pretty significant.
Yes.
It's Racetrack at Chapin High, right? I mean, it could be converted.
Don't know.
I don't. Yeah, the surface is not right.
On the blue
No.
track.
Yeah.
I don't think Coach Plexico would allow it.
No, I don't think so.
Just a thought.
No.
Plant seed that it could be.
Maybe.
Are there hurdles or the horses jumping?
There. Yeah. Not this kind of racing though.
Oh.
So that's like what you're thinking is like Carolina Cup, right? That's steeplechase.
Okay.
Where they're jumping over. But, at the Carolina Cup, I don't even know, being there a bunch of times, especially when I was at USC as an undergrad, I'm not sure people even know that there's horses running around during that event.
Probably.
Yeah.
Right? The people, they look good. They go there to.
By 4 or 5 o'clock, it's not so pretty.
It's not so pretty.
I can imagine.
It's kind of ugly, actually, to be quite honest with you.
So the horse racing, the 8 furlong in the consulting, it just seems like it's just all these.
Well, it just ties in.
Everything's about the horse.
Yeah. So that's your passion.
My passion. That's right.
Horses and then helping people succeed in their business.
Yeah.
Hey, I can't think of anything better.
I mean,
that sounds awesome. Have you ever been to the Kentucky Derby?
I have been to Churchill, but I have not.
Churchill.
I've been to Churchill,
Okay.
but not to the actual Derby.
Okay.
So
Let's make
in
it
my
a
own
goal.
mind,
I'll go with you.
well, if we have a Derby horse, then yeah, hello. So that's kind of in my mind. While I've been to Churchill, I'm holding back on the Derby until I have a horse ready to run in it. And the first time I actually want to go to the Derby is when I have one of my own that I've bred, that's owned by me, and we're going to the Derby.
And when he goes, he'll be looking for those discarded tickets on the ground.
Yeah,
And
but
the Chamber podcast.
of course, we're going to come back. Matter of fact, I'm assuming that if a local guy here in Chapin,
Yes.
right, would have a horse in the Derby, that this community would kind of rally. There'd be that horse's name all over, signs everywhere saying,
Paul Sadler horse.
I know him.
Great.
That's right.
Speaking of names, you do name the horse.
I do. Yeah. I have some interesting
Yeah,
names.
tell us about some of those. Since we're
Uh,
going
so,
this direction.
so yeah, so my filly, I have a yearling filly, and she's out of a sire named DeMarchelier. He stands in Kentucky at Claiborne Farm. A lot of people have heard of Claiborne.
Oh, yeah.
That's where Secretariat was.
Oh.
Yeah, there you go. So, the name of my filly is Amuni.
Okay.
Emuni.
Amuni.
Okay.
Amuni. And it's Sicilian for let's go.
Ah, see.
So if you're in Sicily, now not the mainland, if you're in Sicily and you want to tell somebody let's go, you would say Amuni.
Kind of like vamonos.
In Spanish, yeah.
Yeah.
That's right.
Or let's go in English.
Or just let's go in English. That's right.
Trilingual?
Yeah. Exactly.
Yeah.
And my colt, my yearling colt, his name is Impavido, which means fearless. And that's mainland fearless, not Sicilian fearless. So
Okay.
yeah, so I got a vow at the end of my last name. I only thought it was appropriate that I kind of keep that going on there. Yeah, yeah. So
Well, that's cool. Let's switch
gears.
gears.
Go
Let's
ahead.
talk lanes. Furlong. Let's go the extra furlong here.
That's right, extra furlong.
And talk to us about the business consulting and what you offer your clients.
So the first thing I always, when I go over, and those of you who work with me, know this, is that most people think initially that I'm an expense. And I think that's a big misconception when you go into consulting, because there should be a quantified ROI that's attached to it. So in other words, whatever you spend on a consulting fee, there's a multiplier return that you get the benefit of. So if I say, for argument's sake, let's just say I'm a $10,000, but I bring you net money of 50,000 or 100,000. Does it make sense?
Yes.
So, and this is kind of what big business knows. So when big businesses hire people like me and they spend 20, 25, $50,000 on consultants, right? And they have a net benefit of, let's say, $500,000 to $1 million, right? Anybody in their right mind would say, yeah, I'll take that trade all day long. So it's important, the first thing is important to understand that there should always be an ROI. And if there's no ROI, I don't want to work with you anyway, because that means you're not doing the things that we're talking about.
Yeah.
So that's the first part. The uniqueness part about what I do is, like I said before, I'm not specific to any one concentration.
Mm-hmm.
So if it's marketing or if it's operations, or whether we're talking about sales and what the road to the sale looks like, leadership, what a CEO does, accounting, which I hate, but we do anyway, right? That's like watching the paint dry, and that's like, we have to know it and we have to do it. But I kind of put this all in one, because you have to understand, you can't just be good at one facet of your business.
Not when you're owning a business.
No, you gotta be able to wear all those hats, and there's really not many people out there who do what I do who even understand how those all intersect.
Well, and to use a horse reference,
Yes.
as a business owner, CEO, manager, it's easy to have blinders,
Yes.
right? And
Yeah.
only see kind of what's ahead of you, what's in front, and you're able to come in and holistically look at the entire business.
That's right.
And also not being attached to the outcome.
That's right. That's
Which
correct.
is really nice because of the advice that can be given.
There's an impartiality there that, it's yours. I want to help you. But ultimately, you're going to take the reins.
The reins.
See that? Another horse reference.
I'm racking my brain right now on a horse reference.
You're trying to do it. Yeah.
I got to think of one.
Well, and I will say, full disclosure, I have been working, my wife and I have been working with Paul, and it has been a pleasure to do that, to get to know you and to learn from you, and to look at business and to see what's possible.
Yes.
What's possible.
Yeah.
And just to look at that opportunity.
And I think there's like a misconception that it's scary to
Yeah.
work with a business consultant, right? Like Daniel, like I'm sure like the first time that you and Sarah had conversations were like, oh my gosh, what are we doing? Because he's gonna push you,
Mhm.
right?
Right.
He's not just there to give you a checklist of things. He's gonna push you because that's what you hired him for. And I think people
Yeah.
are afraid of that. But I know because I've spoken with a lot of your clients, you have helped them
Well,
tremendously over the course of the time that y'all have spent together. So
well,
big kudos to you.
I thank you.
It's
Thank you for
better
that.
than a horseshoe lucky charm.
That one needed a little work. I gotta say that one needed, that one needed a little work. But
Close.
at the end of the day, I think one of the added benefits is, when you're self-employed, you're really not accountable to anyone but yourself.
Sure.
In a weird sense,
You are. Absolutely.
I'm the accountability factor. Okay, we said we're
Yes.
going to do this, all right?
Mhm.
And really, I'm the only person that stands in your way from saying I didn't do this, and I'm the only person, because that's what you pay me to do, to say, well, why didn't you have that accomplished?
Right.
This is what we agreed to.
When you have an accountability partner,
Yes.
things tend to happen.
Yep.
Right? You don't put it on the back burner. You're
Right.
like, all right, well, Paul's going to ask me. Daniel's going to tell me.
You don't know how many meetings I go into with clients, and they talk about how nervous they are not to be prepared for what we, and this is their business. At the end, they're the boss, but at the end of the day, it's, oh, I'm not prepared. Oh no.
Right.
It's like,
Right.
I'm not supposed to be that scary, but I have been told I am intimidating, but yeah, it is. It's that Telly Savalas
Yes.
type of, impression. That's right.
Correct.
Yeah.
Right.
I hope everyone knows who Telly Savalas is, by the way, and I hope I don't feel that old.
And if you don't, please go to the Google machine and Google that man.
Yes,
Sure.
for sure. So,
I will be going to the Google machine.
so what is one thing that you wish people knew about your business?
That he's not scary. He's intimidating, but he's not that
Okay.
scary.
That's true. But at the end of the day,
Then you say Terry, it's like, come on, Savalas is like, wait a minute now, because he wasn't.
what I think, if I had to, go over something I haven't even referenced before, is that, when I work with clients, or when I speak to, when I do classes and things of that nature, I think what I try to make clear is that you can do what you initially set out to do. Like, but you're in the way.
Hmm.
Most of the time, maybe 99% of the time, the business owner is in the way of their own success. And they just need to get out of the way. So I help you get out of your own way, teach you maybe a little bit different, show you a different viewpoint of it, show you how certain things are possible. In some cases, while I'm the accountability end, I'm also the encouragement end. It's the old theory, I'll be the first to pat you on the back, and also the first to kick you in the, where the, that's right.
Just waiting to be done. Paul, how can our listeners listen or hear more from you? How can they get in touch with you? Where can they learn more about you?
Well, you can go straight to furlongconsulting.com. You can call me.
Okay.
I'll give my cell number is 803-298-9838. If I don't answer you, it's because I'm on either with another client, or I literally have a horse in my hand. I'm on, I have, I have a lead rope, and there's a 1,200-pound animal on the other end, and no, I'm not answering, but I will call you back. I promise you.
So 8furlongconsulting.com to learn
And
more about.
we're going to be also having, for those that are a little bit more apprehensive, or let's say the budget does not work for you in terms of bringing somebody on like me, we're going to be doing a little workshop coming up, and where you can get in at much cheaper fee, and have some of the learning, but just over a longer period of time, where it's a little bit more of a group setting.
That's nice. That's working in a group setting.
Yeah.
I like that idea.
So hopefully, we've had some interest thus far, and hopefully it expands. And I look forward to doing it, because, I never really thought I'd become a teacher.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
My father was an educator for 40 years, and
right.
Well,
when you have this much knowledge that you want to give back a little bit to the community, I just think you just become an educator. You become a teacher, because you want people to know what you know, because you want people to know what they don't know.
Right. And just so you know, most of it, my undergraduate's from USC, my my MBA's from the University of Scranton, but what I know is from making a whole bunch of mistakes. Because
Right.
but I tried, and in all my mistakes, that I've ever made, I never looked at it like it was a failure.
Mhm.
Make a mistake is a
Gotta make
learning
mistakes.
experience.
Experience,
Um,
absolutely.
and
Well, Paul, and Paul,
Yeah.
that's right.
you've become part of the fabric of Chapin, and
Mhm.
we are grateful for that. Your horse farm, there's so much to learn about that. You have a newsletter that
I do. I do. Once again, you just go to my website, and if you want to get the newsletter, you can email me, put your information in, subscribe, however you want to do it. But
It's a great newsletter, and there's some great tidbits in those newsletters that you send out each month. And
we
so,
try to keep it interesting, fresh. We also add in a little bit of about racing, right?
yes,
Yeah, and
which
especially
which is cool.
as it's Triple Crown season coming around the bend, you can expect a lot more. I'll have some pictures of baby foals with over the next few months. I have a YouTube channel for for racing, for LaRosa Racing, and please feel free to go on there, subscribe. That's where I upload all the photos, things we're doing on the farm, stallions that I go see, training facilities that I go to.
Busy guy.
well,
Oh,
this has been a fascinating conversation. Folks can learn more at 8 Furlong Consulting,
that's right.
and also on social media. Appreciate you joining us.
Thank you for having me.
Seeing double today, it has definitely been a treat. Thanks for listening.
Take care.
This has been the Chapin Neighbors Podcast, where we highlight all that makes our community special. We hope you enjoyed our time together. Please like, subscribe, and share the Chapin Chamber Neighbors Podcast.